Hello everyone, welcome to AI Anytime channel. In this video, we are going to develop a web application powered by LLM. So we're going to use Azure OpenAI and Cognitive Search to build an app called Chat with Your Data. Okay, so it's basically how you can use your enterprise data, with ChatGPT inside Microsoft Azure Cloud. Okay, so they have given this GitHub repository. We will fork the GitHub, we'll clone basically this GitHub repository, and then we'll have our data. We'll create the knowledge base out of it, and then we'll push it to Microsoft Azure, and that everything will happen automatically. Now we'll just have few clicks. Okay, we just have to run few commands from our CLI, and that will automatically create all the resources and instances on Microsoft Azure to develop this application. So if you currently see on my screen, I have something called Chat with Your Data. It has two options called Chat and Ask a Question, and I have named it called LawGPT at the moment, but you can name it anything you want. Okay, let me first show you the data that I have taken. So I have three PDF files that I have used as a source data or the source documents. Okay, so if you see, this is a crime analysis case studies, and all of it data are related to law. Okay, so they are related to law, legality and all. Okay, so for suppose, for example, if you are a lawyer, if you are an aspiring lawyer, or if you are an aspiring judge, or anything in the law enforcement field, right? If you want to have a conversational interface to retrieve some kind of information, this app will be very helpful in that case. So what we are going to do is that we have a data folder, and inside this data folder you can keep on adding documents. Okay, you have 5 documents, 10 documents, and then we'll use something called cognitive search that will create the index of those documents. So we have options of vector search and a text search and a hybrid search, both vector and text combined. I will show you when we push this up. So you can see it says Azure OpenAI plus cognitive search, LawGPT, and then we have two options here called Chat and Ask a Question. So if you see, this is the one document, then I'm going to open this document as well. Risk assessment case studies for the legal profession, anti-money laundering and terrorist financing working group. And if I go to other document, then I have a Supreme Court case studies. So there are 32 pages or something in that document, and you can see all the case studies over here. You can see this case study. So I have splitted this PDF. It was around more than 200 pages, but I splitted it just to save some tokens there, right? So if you see, we have these case studies like Dartmouth College versus Woodward, Gibbons versus Ogden, Worcester versus Georgia, etc. And all these case studies over here. If you come down, case study 1, then some questionnaires are there, then case studies 2, some questions, etc. Right? So how an aspiring lawyer or a judge can use this tool that we have going to develop using Azure, okay, completely Azure cloud and all of their AI services. Okay, so if you see here, it says chat with your data, ask anything or try an example. So if you click on this, it has some default questions like, why is the Dartmouth case considered to be important in the economic history of the United States? It also has something called ask a question. So if you go to ask the question, here you can ask one question. So this section is mainly a QA section, question answering section, and this is more like a conversational interface, like where you can ask follow-up questions. It's more like a chatbot. Okay, so if I click on this, why is the Dartmouth case considered to be important in the economic history of the United States? Now, what I'm expecting is that it's going to go inside that knowledge base, the index that it created, the vectors that it has, right? It will give me the response from there, and you can see the streaming responses. It has a streaming response, just like ChatGPT. What it says is, the Dartmouth case is considered to be important in the economic history of the US because it established the principle that states were not permitted to take over private. So it gives me an answer, and it also gives me citations, the source document. And if you click on this Supreme Court case studies, the file that we have over here, you can see this is the file that we have, Supreme Court case studies. And now what it's showing is, it is a PDF viewer that helps you understand that from which document, right, from which page. You can see it redirects us to this page. Once we click on the citations, you can also see the questions over here. Supreme Court decisions have on Dartmouth College. So this is the Dartmouth case that we are talking about in this this question that I have asked. Now it also has a couple of other things that's very interesting, by the way. It has something called supporting content. It gives you the content, because now we also have number of k that we pass it as a parameter, right? The number of k, that how many k it should look at. So for example, k is equal to 3, it will look at 3 samples or something like that, right, as a source document. And you can see it over here. Now it also has a thought process that how it searched. You can see the the system prompt, the user prompt, etc., and how it has combined and retrieved the information all together, and how it has given us this concise answer. That's what ChatGPT is good at it, right? Or the LLMs in general. So it has a supporting content. It helps you explain the output completely, right? So you can see we have thought process that will help you understand, okay, this answer has been retrieved by this information. Now if you have the citations, now you can see the citations over here, right? The complete PDF. So what we are doing, we have developed this LawGPT with the help of Azure search services that we have, Azure Cognitive Search and Azure OpenAI, and I'm calling it LawGPT, but you can build anything that you want. If you have your medical documents, if you have your law data, if you have your financial data, if you have your insurance policies data, if you have any other kind of documents, you can bring everything all together and you can build a domain specific application that will retrieve information for you guys. That's what we are going to develop in this video. It's going to be very easy. Okay, we're not going to write a hell lot of code because it's the GitHub repository is already there. We're going to clone that repository, make some changes, and then little bit of customization on the front end, and then we'll have this app ready here. Okay, so now let's build this application, guys. Okay, so to develop this LawGPT application, guys, or any chat with your data application, we can find that GitHub repository here that called Azure Search OpenAI demo, which says a sample app for RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation. The community is going gaga over RAG, right? The selling point nowadays in the community or the industry, basically. And pattern running in Azure using cognitive search for retrieval and GPT model for as an LLM, right? To basically power your chat GPT style question and answer and chatbot experiences, right? So this is the GitHub repository. You can see it's very famous, have more than 3.5k stars, has some setup thingy, some high level architecture, that how you combine cognitive search with LLM on your data sources. Now your data sources can be in Cosmos DB, can be on blob storage, can be anywhere else, but we are going to have this locally because I don't want to occur that cost. But if you already have your data on Azure, don't worry about anything else. Just use GPT models, okay, which is on Azure. You are okay with that, okay? Your data will be completely private and it will not get leaked out, okay? If your data is already on Microsoft Azure, okay? And then you have cognitive search and combined with OpenAI, and then some orchestrator, right? Then app server or something like that. Then we have prompt, knowledge, etc. that we'll see. And then you have your some features like this is, you can see the screen grab here, and they have some project setup. Might look little overwhelming for the first time. You might get a little confused at how you can set it up, but let's see. With very few lines of command, we'll be able to set this up in our system, and then we'll push it there to Azure cloud. Okay, to do that, what you have to first do is that you must have a Microsoft Azure, of course, account, and I have a pay as you go subscription. And if I'm not wrong, maybe I'm wrong, but I think you need a business email ID or something like that to create your account on Azure OpenAI. And correct me if I'm wrong, because when I created months ago, it was the criteria was that you need a business email, to have Azure OpenAI. So you should have all those. I assume that you have all the access on Microsoft Azure. If you have all the access, you are good to go with that, okay? And then now what I have is, I have this 3 data that you already have seen, 3 PDF files. I have one crime analysis case studies, then I have federations of law societies, which is anti-money laundering and terrorist financing working group, risk assessment case studies for the legal profession, and then I have Supreme Court case studies. So I am developing this for lawyers and judges to have some recommendations, find out some insights from previous case studies that can help them in their journey throughout, okay, of using generative AI. That's what the use case that we are trying to tackle in this video. So what we have to do is that there are few criteria and some few prerequisites that I'm going to discuss. You can see I have a folder called data where I have all the 3 files. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this project folder in my terminal, which is a PowerShell, by the way, by default. And you can see I have PowerShell 7.3.6. The first criteria is by the way, I'm using carbon.now.sh. I use this to basically create some documentation, etc. You can also use that. I can give the link in the description. This is what you have to do. Pretty much this is what you have to do. You first need PowerShell 7 plus version, to have all these things up and running. So if you don't have PowerShell 7 plus version, then you first have to upgrade it, your PowerShell version there. Okay, so please go ahead and have PowerShell 7 plus. Once you have that, ensure you can run pw with all those pw powershell.exe from a PowerShell terminal. If this fails, you likely need to upgrade your PowerShell, as I said. And then you need Node.js as well. So if you don't have Node.js, I think you need Node.js install for Windows. You have here, if you go to this repository, you can find out one of the criteria is because it's a React front end, and it needs Node to run those the entire web app there, guys. Now, if you see it over here, they say that if you come to requirement, it says Node.js 14 plus and PowerShell 7 plus. That's what you need, for Windows users. Okay, and so let's do that. So here you can find out Node. I can give you this link in description. If you don't have, you can just download the MSI and double click install Windows set to path. That's it. So that's what you have to do. And then you can see, then we have the something like that, pwc something. Then so you can see I am inside this project. Now what I'm going to do is I want to first run this command here. So you can see winget install Microsoft AGD. I already have this developer CLI, but I'm not going to run this. Now if you're running it for the first time, if you don't have Azure developer CLI, then please run this winget install Microsoft.azd. Okay, you have to run this command. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in to Azure. So let me copy this, and I'm just going to paste it over here. You can see I'm just writing AGD auth login. So what this command will do, it authenticate with your Azure portal. So when I click on this, it will basically open a new tab in the browser, and you can see if you already have signed in, you can see I'm signed in with that. You can say it says authentication complete. You can return to the application. Feel free to close this browser tab. That's what I'm going to do here. So I'm just going to do that and come back. You can see this is, I only have one resource here, AI anytime. Now once I run the upcoming command, it will create a new resource group and have everything running inside that resource group. I will explain that quickly. So now if you see, it says logged into Azure. Now I have already logged into Azure now. So what I have to do next is, now I have to initialize and clone this repository. Now it will automatically do that for us, don't worry. So what I'm going to do is, let's copy this here, come over here, and you can see this is what the GitHub repository name is also, that Azure Search OpenAI demo. So if you come over here, and this is what we have written here, aged initialize, right? Init, you do git init and all, right? So similarly we have aged Azure developer CLI, that's aged init, and then -t, which is your repository name, and just clone it for you. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do here. So let me just do a control V. I'm just going to hit enter. It says continue initializing an app here. This will also initialize a new Git. I'll say okay, yes. So let's just do an yes and hit enter. Now what it does is it's downloading all the code from that GitHub repository. So basically it's cloning inside that folder. Enter a new environment name. I'll just do .venv here. So let's just do that. Enter a new, and it says success new project initialized. You can view the template code in your directory. So let's go back to this, and now you can see that we have inside project we have all of these things that over here. Okay, so let me just go back inside project, and then you can see in docs these are some photos and some images. Then we have data, and these are the data folder that we have. So what we are going to do is we need to have this data over here. So let me just do that. So what I'm going to do, let me just go back to desktop, excuse me, not desktop, OSC, project, and inside this data I'm going to create that. I'm going to delete all this data over here first, and let's delete that data. I have deleted all the data which comes by default when you clone it for the first time, and I'm going to download all this data over there, that inside that folder. So let me just go inside OSC, my project, and the data folder. I'm going to just download all of these 3 files. So all the 3 files inside that, You can see this is what I'm going to do, and that's it. Okay, and you can see that now I'm going to just hit, excuse me, let me just do a refresh. Project data, I don't know why I didn't download. Let me just do a control G. It says failed error. Okay, so let me just do that. Oh, what I'm going to do now is, let me just go to once recycle bin, and let me just copy this, not this, Supreme Court case studies and FLS case studies. That's it. And I'm going to just click on restore. And once I restore, I will go back to C, project. You can see now I have all the files. Basically, once you clone in that folder, the project folder, I already have a folder called data which was replaced by the default data folder. So I have to bring it again from the recycle bin. Now if I click on this, let me just delete all these 3 files just to show you that we have the right set of data over there. Let me just click on this. Okay. Now once I open this, you can see all those files are there inside that data folder. Perfect. Now we have our data. You can put any other data that you have right with you, and mainly the PDFs. Okay, so you have PDF data, you can put it over there inside the data folder. Now let me also do one thing. Let me just open this in code dot. I'm just going to open this in VS Code, and you can see I have opened this entire folder in VS Code, and you can see, find out the data inside there. Then we have, you know, if you go inside app, basically, let me just remove this. If you go inside app, you can see front end and back end separately. So in front end, we'll go there later. Then we can go inside in the front end. You have this go to app folder, and after going to app folder, you can go to front end folder, and then you can open index.html. Now once you open index.html, you can make some changes which says GPT plus enterprise data sample. Now I'm going to replace this. I'm making some changes on the front end. I'm going to call this as LawGPT. You can name it anything else you want. Okay, and then you can also hash this, line number 5. So that's what I'm going to do. So I hash line number 5. I don't need that icon on the browser, the tab that we have. Okay, but you can put your icon, but I don't have an icon handy, but you can do that as well. And I'm going to save this here. So let's save this, and you can come out of this index.html. Now if I click on the src, which is source, now you can see we have something called pages. So now once you click on pages, let's click on the pages. Once you click on the pages, then we can go inside layout, and inside layout we have layout tsx. Now why I'm opening is because we also have to make some changes over there inside this layout tsx. Now what we have to do is we have to change this title, guys, GPT plus enterprise, on the header. The earlier that we changed was on the browser tab. Now here I'm going to change this. So let's again call this LawGPT. Okay, that's it. Now we have changed this to LawGPT, and we can also do one thing. There's a GitHub icon that I have to remove. So if you see GitHub repo, here's this I found. So what we can do, we can remove this list here from 27 to 38. We can just do a hash. So you can see that I remove basically I hash this. This code is basically in React. Okay, so this is how you hash in React, or any other language as well. That's what you do, JavaScript or Python. Control and the question mark on your keyboard. Now this is done as well. Now what I'm going to do is go inside this chat folder, and inside this chat folder you have something called tsx. Sorry, excuse me. You have TypeScript, etc. Then you have tsx, and here what we have to do is let me see. Let me just do an Alt G first. Setting button, set is config panel. What we can also do, now we can hash this line 167 that we don't need. So let me just do that here, control hash. Okay, now this is done as well. And now let me just do a control S. Now inside src, we have this components, and inside this components we have this example. And if you see this example, we have that 3 default questions that we can replace it over here. You can see it's by default. This is the question that we have currently. What is included in north wind, hail, something, something, something. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to replace this with my questions. Okay, so let me just do that. So I already have that question handy with me here in Notepad, and I will just do that. So let me just copy, Control C. So let me just do a Control C and just do a Control V, and you can see now I have done that. It's my question that I have shown that once I was showing you in the beginning of this video, where we have this question that it's a key value pair. It's a text and a value, the default question where you can give some idea to the end user that what kind of questions they can ask. So these are the questions that they can ask. Tell me about us. Tell me about let me just remove this us. Tell us about. So tell us about Project Centurion. So tell us, let me just do that. Tell us about Project Centurion. And the other question was what to do if management of an existing trust that may contain criminal property and something like that. Okay, you can change these questions depending on your data that you have. So that's all. So these are the 4 files that you have to change, guys. On very high level you can change your prompts, etc. right? I can show that. So you have index HTML, layout TSX, chat TSX, and example TSX. That's where you have to make some changes. Let me just close all this because we have done that. Control S. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically minimize this front end thingy. Now inside app, what you have, you go to backend, you have something called app.py. This is where all the magic happens, guys, right? The app.py, where you have a lot of things like config, etc., which automatically creates the instances and all of those things, okay, for you and the backend. If you have data, you're the blob storage, you can also go to blob storage, etc., to get that. Now, if you come to main.py, you can see that's how it start that app. From app, import create app. Then you have text.py, new lines, etc. You have requirement. These are requirements that automatically will get installed once you do AGD up, Azure Developer up. These are but if you are doing it manually or something like that locally, then you have to install all of this. And then it has LangChain adapters, callback handler, etc. So these are the things that you have. Then you have data, employee env, something like that, CSV. Okay, that's it, guys. So now let's do one thing. Let's go back to, yes, you can see on the terminal basically the Powershell. And now what we have to do is we have to just do AZ up. Okay, so now let's do that here. So I'm just gonna do East US here. And this might take a bit of a time, so I can pause the video here because it will take a little time to set it up and everything. So let me just pause the video here and I will start the video once it gets completed. Okay, so let me just do that. Okay, guys, so you can see now it says your application was provisioned and deployed to Azure in 37 minutes. So it took me more than half an hour to set this up and deploy it on Microsoft Azure. Okay, you can see it has given us a URL as well. So we'll copy this URL now. So this is in the endpoint. So let me just copy this. I'll copy this. I'll open this over here and I will just hit enter. I will come back on this. Okay, we will try it out. Now if you see here, there are a lot of things that has happened and I will show you. If you go up, it's uploading blog for page. So what it does, guys, for each of the PDFs that you upload, it splits each pages in all of those PDFs and then create the embeddings out of it. And you can see it says uploading blog for page 0, page 1, page 2. So Azure blob storage, then you have a document intelligence, search service, etc. We'll go to the resources one by one. You can see for all of this document, we can see the pages splitted individually, right? Each pages has been splitted there. Okay, you can see it over here for each of the documents. So let's just go up and you can see, it does a lot of things, blah blah blah. Install all the required dependencies and libraries, and then it took more than half an hour to create all the instances within the resource group, whatever services you need, and automatically set it up for you once you authenticate with AZ authentication that we have. So now if you see here, your application was provisioned, you can view the resources created under the resource group. So my resource group name is RG LawGPT VNB. So if you come over here, I already have opened for you. You can see it says RG LawGPT VNB, and these are the resources. Sorry, these are the services or the instances that Azure has created for you. Automatically set it up for you inside this resource group. Now if you see, it's using services like, of course, an app service that gives us an option to basically interact with that chatbot or the application, the web app. So web app has been deployed within this app service, our application. Then we have document intelligence. Then we have Azure OpenAI. Okay, so Azure OpenAI to utilize the GPT 3.5 model. And then we have search service. We have cognitive search service for indexing and all. I'll go there. And then you have a storage account for storing all of the blobs that you saw for the PDF. So if you go inside this search service, so let's go inside this guys, search service. And if you come here, you can see, a lot of things. Let me just, you can see the GPT-KB index, the knowledge base, and you can see the storage is now 8.72 MB, and there are 321 documents, okay, for each of the PDFs pages that we have, okay. The documents, and you can go to field, you can see the field ID, content, embedding, category, source page. So we're retrieving the source document, then we have the embeddings, the vector data, the vectors for you, okay. And then we have document intelligence that provide us that vector store capabilities, okay. So if you come over here, search explorer, you can also search over here the query string. It will basically go inside that in basically the created index, and will try to retrieve information for you. That's how cognitive search works. But now we have combined this cognitive search with Azure GPT models. Okay. Now if you go back to this resource group, we have Azure OpenAI, and all of these are in East US. You don't have to do anything if you are doing it as a POC or an MVP. Of course, you can, if you come inside this VS Code, you can do a lot of changes here in the, if you just expand app, if you go to backend, you can do a lot of things over here, message builder, model helper, you can see the GPT model, the GPT-4 models are also there. Whatever you want to, spin up, you can also spin up. You can make some changes here in the backend. Depending on that, it will, act, guys. Okay, approaches. That how are you fetching the approaches? And this is very intuitive. So let's go back to this GPT and ask this question. Why is the Dartmouth case considered to be important in the economic history of the United States? And I'm expecting some kind of response, from the LLMs that have been combined with the cognitive search. Now you can see here the Dartmouth case is considered important in the economic history. I mean, once you click on these citations, which gives me one document, now it also have, and that's how our RAG works, right? Retrieval augmented generation. It gives you the supporting content, the number of keys that we have 3 over here, but you can make it 2, 5, 10, whatever you want to do. Thought process, you can see the thought process here, that how it's searching, inside that knowledge base that you have created. So you can see there are 2 things that I would like to highlight. The one is role system role. Now if you see here, it says assistant helps the company employees with their healthcare plan. Now, what I have to do, I missed that part, but you can do that. Once we first clone this repository, the data was for healthcare, but now we are doing it for law, right? Lawyers and judges. You have to make this for law experts or lawyers or something like that, okay? And even it will retrieve better responses in that case. And you can see it over here, all the documents and all. And then supporting content and citations, we are getting the exact citation, that from which part of that document we are getting that response, the exact path. Of course, it generates synthetic sentences because that's how it works. It creates synthetic data out of it. Maybe you can do temperature equal to 0 or 0.1 if you want to reduce the creativity and randomness out there. You can do that from backend. Okay, there's no problem inside that. Now you have approach.py. You have your retrieve. If you read this chat read retrieval read.py, you have all of the prompt. This is where you have to make the prompt changes. Okay, their healthcare plan, you have to make it lawyer expert or something like that. Let me do an alt G and show you. So you can see it over here, the healthcare plan questions, blah blah blah, follow-up questions, prompt content, query prompt template. You can make all of these changes here, the system prompt, the user prompt, etc. Okay, you can make all the changes over here, and then you have your model and the config, etc., etc. Temperature, you can see 0, max tokens, blah blah blah. You can increase all these values, guys, depending on what you're trying to do. Now I'll say, okay, if I say tell me more about it, let's see what it gives. Now I say tell me more about it. Okay, let's see what it responds. So I'm expecting that it should give me the response for Dartmouth case, and you can see it gives me that. Okay, it says Dartmouth case, and fantastic, right? This is amazing because I'm not asking about Dartmouth case anywhere in my prompt or query. I say just tell me more about it. It automatically understand the semantics behind my question that I'm asking. Okay, it understand what my query is. Okay, from follow-up question that I am having. So it's a follow-up question on my previous question. It's able to basically elaborate the previous response about the Dartmouth case, and you can see it over here. Now let's open that data, guys, quickly. Okay, so I'll go inside data and I'll go some case study, something like that. Okay, let's see if we can ask some other question and see if it's able to give any response. Transfer of fund without substantial legal. I don't know what to ask. Okay, purchase and sale of real estate property, investigating potential proceeds of crime. Let me see. Is to purchase property. Criminal uses elderly parents to launder proceeds of crime. Let me copy this here. Okay, I'll just copy this. We'll come over here. Tell me about criminal uses elderly parents to launder proceeds of crime. Tell me what to do when. Let me just phrase this question in a better way. Tell me what to do when criminal uses elderly parents to learn a process of crime. That's it. Let's hit enter. Okay, now I'm expecting that it should give me some responses, and you can see it. If you suspect that a criminal is using elderly parents to learn a process of crime here, and you can see the citations that I got my citations. Fantastic, right? So this is how it happens. You have your enterprise data on Microsoft Azure. You are having your data on blob storage or Cosmos DBs or anywhere else, guys. I have my data locally and I push it from my local folder, but you can keep that already on blob storage or anywhere you want, right? But this is good from an accuracy standpoint as well. It gives you the response that you are looking for, and you can see that it such a beautiful answer that is given for this. Tell me what to do when criminal uses elderly parents to learn a process. Now, suppose for example, if I am an aspiring lawyer, I am just starting my career in the field of law and this legal industries and all, right? And I want to understand different case studies. I want to find out, insights and some best practices and recommendations. Basically, you can build this tool. Now you can take this, extend this further, put some guardrails, put a payment gateway and a login authentication, something like that, and build a SaaS application. It completely depends what you want to do with this, right? Now, this is on the chat. It also has an option called ask a question, and let's open this for the citations as well. Now, once I open this citation for this question, that tell me what to do when criminal uses elderly parents to learn a process of crime, it takes me to that page number 7 here. You can see it over here, right? This page, and it generates the data out of that, the output data that we see. This is fantastic. If you go to content, it gives you again the number of K that we have, 3 Ks that we have, then thought process. What was the thought process behind this information that we have retrieved, the augmented generation of that information? Now, this is a chat interface where you can ask different follow-up questions. Okay, but here's the problem. Now, if I ask, who is Bill Gates? Now, if I ask who is Bill Gates, let's see what it answers. Based on the provided source, there is no information about Bill Gates. That's the improvement that it provides, because what we are doing now, we are using cognitive search to only look at the index that we have created. So it only gives the information from that knowledge base. It does not go outside of that context or the knowledge base that we have created. And you can see when I ask who is Bill Gates, it says based on the provided sources, there is no information about Bill Gates. That's fantastic, right? And this is the problem that we want to solve with the open source LLM, because they I will not say that it's a hallucination, because the model also has 7 billion or 30 billion or Falcon 180 billion. Those are the floating points. the data points that we have, and they have their own understanding and knowledge, right? You cannot stop them by putting a prompt over there. Prompt of course helps, to limit it on some extent, that okay, the information is not there, but I know who Bill Gates is. That's what open source LLMs are currently very struggling at some extent. But with this, it goes to that index that we have created and retrieves the information out of it. This is fantastic, right? Now if you come over here in the ask a question, here you can only ask a single question. You cannot interact with it. So if I say, okay, tell me about us, tell me about, I think that the prompt is wrong, that we have to make some changes, but it's fine. So let's see what it does. Okay, so you can see it's only giving me one response, and I cannot ask a follow-up question on this now. Okay, Project Centurion is a multi-agency endeavor that focuses on using problem-oriented policing (POP) approaches to reduce alcohol-related crime and disorder on the prominent areas in Douglas, the capital of Isle of Man, blah blah blah. It also has citations. Same thing over here, right? But it says ask your data. So it's a question answering section, and this is a chatbot where you can interact and ask follow-up question. So this is what we have built like today, guys. I'll not use the word built. We haven't built it. Microsoft has done that. Okay, this is just a wrapper right around it, and this is what we have done. We have made some changes on the front end, a bit of customization, and then just use the GitHub repository over here. You can see, and I don't take any credit, to be honest, on this video that you are seeing or the repo. What I want to show you is that how you can take it. It's an MIT license. You can use it for commercial purposes as well. Don't worry about it. Of course, go ahead and read the code of conduct, but you can use it in enterprises for your clients. There is nothing wrong about it. Okay, now how you can just use this with few lines of command. I will give this list of command that you can just take it, even if you don't have much technical expertise. How you can just build this up, guys, right? How you can develop it, set it up, put a custom domain also. How you can put a custom domain. If you go to app service, you can also set this up. Okay, all those domains and all, you can set it up over here, but you can find that on YouTube videos or anywhere on the internet. But this is what I wanted to do, and I hope you learned something in this video. This is more related to law and legal. You can build it for healthcare, insurance, finance, banking, etc., right? And if you have any thoughts or feedback, please let me know. You can also reach out to me through my social media channels. Please find that on the YouTube channel banner, and also about YouTube channel. You can find all those information. And if you haven't subscribed the channel yet, please do subscribe it, share the video and channel with your friends and peers. That's all for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.